Right, here we
Yes.
are. On that theme of trying too hard, the past week, I've been done and dusted in the first hour and switched off all week. It's great. I've got I've got 23 hours to not trade.
Yep. And if you're not trading, you can't lose money.
Exactly. Oh, but think how much money you could make in the other 23 hours. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Okay. So I only brought my platform up about 5 minutes ago. So this is really my stop, look, listen, smell live. Um, First thing to be really aware of this week, week one of a new month, there is a lot of news, a lot of figures coming out this week, pretty much every day. We've got PMI today. Let's change the time zone on this so that it actually works. Let's put you in. I did it on my other machine, haven't done it. Let's put you in Central Standard Time. There we go. And let's get you back to this week. Done. And one thing I wanted to check. How many Scalpathon students that aren't TRG members are with us today? I think we had one that registered, but maybe hasn't turned up. Anyhow,
Really? We don't have any others? That blows my mind.
I see at
no.
least one for
I
sure
see
that
I
is
see
not
one.
TRG. Two, three, four. Um,
Yeah, I think it's four.
I think it's four.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so why don't we scene set just a little bit? That for people who aren't in TRG, maybe you're on Scalpathon. Hello, Sheena. Hello, Ryan. What we do every week within TRG, we do a kind of let's look from afar for the week ahead. Because Monday is different. You know, cash market reopens for the first time. And it is very easy to get too drawn in, too enthusiastic, try and make all your week's goals in a day and end up blowing up your account. So we do a kind of look from afar as to what the week's bringing, what the context looks like, think about some scenarios that may occur. We don't spend long, take 10, 15 minutes. Jeff sometimes shares with us sentiment on a call that he sits in on from time to time with various hedge fund people.
And we actually have that today.
We have that today.
Yeah, we did have one. We had a call this morning.
Cool.
So when we get
Okay.
to it, I'm ready to go on that.
So it gives us within TRG just a quick, let's just think about what's coming up rather than treat things blindly and, turn on our charts and start trading. And for this week, there's a lot of figures, and you've really got to be all over the calendar this week to understand what is happening and when, because there's a bunch of stuff during RTH. Like today, we've got PMI figures at 9 a.m. Central. So that can create a little bit of movement. If you're not aware that that's coming, you don't want to be taken by surprise and have a nasty sweep that goes against you. Tuesday, inflation information in EU. So if you are trading overnight, you need to be aware of that. So that'll be 4 a.m. Central. Nothing major. Factory orders not too bad, but be aware of the EU figures overnight. Wednesday. Oh, what's going on Wednesday? Oh, it's FOMC. It's that thing again. We've also got PMI data at B periods. Now, normally on FOMC day, we can be quite rangy after the first hour. We put in the initial balance and then we, bounce around each end of the range. But with this PMI figure, there's some news that's going to be assimilated. So we could have a more volatile first hour than we'd normally expect on FOMC day. Then
The other
go.
Just a quick comment about this FOMC is probably the most important one of recent FOMCs because is there going to be a pause? Is the Fed going to pause, which everyone expects them to do? If they don't, look out. And, that could really create some volatility. So, yeah, this is probably the most important Fed meeting we have this year so far.
So we have that Thursday. I thought there was something on Thursday. Okay, so yeah, ECB, European Central Bank, then they make their interest rate decision 12 hours after the FOMC do their stuff. Then there's the press conference, pre-market, 7:45 Central. That makes things really bouncy if you trade Eurex. So that can have a little bit of effect on US stuff. And then Friday, we've got NFP. So it is a crazy week for news. There's big info being assimilated into the market pretty much every day. So you need to be aware each day of what's coming and when. Normally, in a week where we, rarely it's going to happen, 3-4 times a year, have FOMC and NFP in the same week. We tend to be quite stable. We leave things unresolved. We might, tease the edge of a range, but not breach it ahead of the figure. But we've got big news coming out every day, and that's going to make things quite awkward. We'll sometimes slow down the day before FOMC, the day before NFP. We can be very rangy, but we've got market moving announcements every day this week. So you've got to be nimble, and you've got to be careful in terms of the size that you're trading. So if you miss your timings on something and you're trading with too much size and there's a sweep against you, you are going to get hurt. So I would recommend you check the calendar every day this week and be super clear on the signs. On the daily charts, the 4 charts on the left of my screen, you can see, last week was a bit crazy. We went down, then we came back up and beyond on everything. Correlation is better than it's been, but it's still not brilliant. We've got this mismatch between tech and banks. There's lots of fear around banks. So they should be. Banks are horrible. And when we fall, look at RTY here on Monday? Last Monday, I think that was. Big down days of, signs of fear, emotional panic selling type stuff. Look at the big update on NQ on Thursday as well. Just seeing Calvin's comment and Tom's comment as well. Apple earnings on Thursday. That's significant, obviously, for NQ. And yeah, it's holiday in Europe and the UK today. So there's been nothing happening Europe-wise overnight. Europe will catch up tomorrow. And, we can see more volume potentially or more extreme moves in the overnight session leading into tomorrow because Europe gets back to work. So it's got potential to be an awkward week. We are near the top of the recent range. If we look at ES, which teased 4,200, probably about a week and a half ago, that was 17th of April, and it wasn't sure. A little doji there. That is going to be clearly in sight as a big fat round number, 4,200. NQ, has it breached the equivalent? It has, and there were stops triggered around 13. What was that? 13. Okay, probably 375. RTY, it's gone up, but it has breached the low of its recent range on the dailies and is about a third of the way back into its range over the past month or so. YM is near the top of its range. It's similar shape to ES. So the lack of correlation between the 4 indices is also something to be very careful of. We don't like it when it's not brilliantly correlated. And what we're seeing quite heavily the past 2-3 weeks is early in the session, the actual direction can be very uncorrelated. And there's either a leader or laggard. And after an hour or two, everything starts to move in the same direction. But early in the session, it can really get quite awkward. So we're near the top of the range on ES. We're going to concentrate on ES as the barometer for all of the equities, even though the correlation isn't brilliant. Overnight, the top is not fantastic. It's not a price rejector because of lack of exhaustion and a lack of opposing aggression. The low also isn't a price rejector, and it's a pretty small range. So as would be normal on a Monday, I'm going to hang back. I want to see what plays out. I'm expecting one side of the range to break. We've got the big fat round number above us, which is interesting. What would the ATR be today? It's not even showing on my chart. That's awkward. It should be. Why is there no ATR projection?
Maybe it's just really far away.
It is. It's 27. Okay, so it's
just way up there.
It's up there. We've had, and that's from the big days we've had in the past week.
Yep, and a tiny overnight range.
Yeah, There's a bunch of single prints below us from a few days ago on TPO view down to 41.29. I doubt we'd get there today. There is pretty much a vacuum above us, but we're near the top of the recent range. So I'm going to be thinking if we do break the highs, I'm not expecting us to go stratospheric. I would be then thinking probably outside in around big fat round number back into the range. And I don't like trading outside in. Or it's going to go down to go up. We'll see. There's a lot of absorption there below 80, all the way down to 78 or so. But we're in the middle of the overnight range. As normal on a Monday, I want to just, see what is going on and see what direction we find within the context of the statistical and structural setups that I trade anyway. But I'm absolutely not going to rush in. It's going to be a potentially dramatic week because of all the economic figures which are coming out, Apple earnings as well. So yeah, as we always say, not going to look to make my week in the day. I might not even look to make my day in the first hour. I'm going to hang back. There's no rush today. That's kind of my view. Jeff, anything you want to talk about from the hedge fund call?
Yeah, real quickly. Am I unmuted? Yeah, I am. Okay.
You are.
So real quick, just what is the hedge fund call for those that are new? I have a circle of friends and acquaintances that run various kinds of funds. Some of them are actual hedge funds. One of the guys in the group runs a derivatives desk at a major investment bank. Sometimes I slip and name that bank, which I'm not supposed to do. And we have some family funds and some, private equity people, and we have a Brahmin, an Asian man who is a trust fund baby with $1 billion trust fund, and he's actually a pretty good trader. Anyway, we just do a chat once a week, and we talk about the Formula One race, great races this weekend, and then we talk about what they're hearing and seeing. We don't talk about any specific strategies they might be doing. They're not in a position to be able to do that. But there's always interesting conversation. Today, two things were interesting. Number one, everybody agrees we're in an event-driven market still. I've been saying this for months, and Lee kind of addressed that as well. It's going to take a catalyst to break this up. Otherwise, we're just going to work this range. And having said that, we also had an interesting conversation. If you recall the hedge fund conversation about 2 months ago, about the level 4250. Everyone was saying, "Oh, I can't wait to sell that area." And Lee mentioned that too. If we get up there, it's the edge of the range. It's been sold so many times. So it could be in play, both ways. Everybody with major accounts is watching that spot. The general sentiment is the market has been responding pretty well to bad news. We're not going down. Earnings are okay. FOMC remains an issue. But, a pop up there, the first pass up that way could be an interesting fade. And if it gets through there, we could have a basic baby recovery out of the bear market. And we like to vote on stuff just for fun. That's, get a consensus of opinion. And that we voted on that today. What was the question? Real simple. If we get to the 4250 area, this time, will it get sold again, or will it try to get sold and blow through and then maybe get sold? And the consensus, not overwhelming, but it was 12 out of 17 think we will test that area, and 14 out of 17 think that it will be in play. In other words, it won't just be a simple, oh, everyone gets short there, it's coming back down. They think that area could become really aggressive. Because it's kind of a major inflection point as to whether or not this bear market, quote unquote, is continuing, or we've consolidated enough that there's enough information for a bounce rally. And obviously, if FOMC is positive in any way in the market's view, that could be the stimulus, as could NFP or anything else this week. So everybody's, sitting on their trigger finger, ready to go, ready to throw a lot of money at the market, but they're not doing anything right now. They are just sitting and waiting and watching. And we've seen this.
It would be interesting because I just had a quick look on the daily. That level, I think, is from 1st of February. It'd be interesting to go look on the session and see what the volume of price is like up there. Was it clean top or not? And bear that in mind, for if and when we do get back up there.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. I remember when we did get up there, I don't remember totally clearly, but it wasn't an instant reversal. But once it started getting sold, I know it got sold pretty hard because I sold it. But I remember getting up there last. I don't remember exactly what the order flow was like. We should definitely look at that.
I think it was quite clean.
I seem to remember that too. That it was a real obvious, low risk place to fade it.
Yeah.
But anyway, if anybody brings that order flow up from that when we were up there last, please post it in the pit. Anyway, what other things real quickly? That's pretty much the hedge fund call stuff. I just want to make a couple of other quick announcements. Scalpathon going on, obviously. I will be conserving energy and focusing on those sessions. But I'm still doing my TRG sessions, obviously, and I'm still doing the public free sessions. I just put one on the calendar 30 seconds ago for NFP, and that'll be at 8:15 on Friday. Invite your friends, whatever. That's public, it's free, and we just scalp the announcement. And sometimes there's really extreme moves to scalp, so it's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's all I've got, Lee.
Yeah, and just in terms of the calendar, I'll be taking fishing trips this week on Tuesday for the initial balance break, and on Thursday for the B2A. Wednesday we've got dojo. Friday looks quite busy.
Yes, and it's all mine.
Yeah, and something else to be aware of. Today is the last day of the Apex 90% promo. 90% first month, 80% for all subsequent renewals. So that was a very tasty deal from Apex. Yep. So bear that in mind if you are looking to do an eval. There's also a Lilu deal that was announced overnight for the whatever they call it, which is like the 100K Express that turns into 150K PA. It begins with an I, and I can't remember its name.
Insight.
That's Ignite. There you go.
Ignite. That's it. I knew it was something like that. Yeah. There you go.
It's so funny, but you gotta love Lilu. I love Chris. He thinks Lilu is the Procter and Gamble of the eval world. If you understand what I mean by that, Procter and Gamble makes almost all the laundry soap on the planet. They just have all different names. It's the same shit.
Even Tide, the competing brands,
and they compete with each other exactly. Like
I'd say they're the CVS knockoffs of the Procter and Gamble products.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
and if you like so this, you'll love this.
Exactly. It's just such a funky, stupid business. But anyway, it's noteworthy for us.
Yeah. So the Apex deal is there. Lilu have thrown everything at the wall in the past week. I think there's some evaluation, isn't there, where if you send Chris 2 chicken drumsticks, you get a $37 PA or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that the dipping sauce has to be included, or it's void.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So great opportunities around from all of that. And also Lilu, for some people, they've extended the whole 5-day to pass through to tomorrow. So check your eval performance if you loaded up last week and you just need a day or two.
And their one-time PA fee thing is good through the 14th. Is that right?
Currently.
Yeah, currently. Exactly. Until they change it again.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That makes sense.
I'll ask Chris to extend it for me for my birthday. So there you go.
There you go. When's your birthday?
The 15th.
Ah, okay, cool.
I'll whine. Oh, I need one more day. I need it for my birthday.
So I think that is about it. Be super aware this week. So you've got to be aware of the news schedule. Otherwise, you're going to get spanked. And be aware of the extremes of ranges. Because we can get to an extreme of a range ahead of news. And I would say, we are more than likely to retreat from it.
After we overshoot it.
Yeah. but don't expect anything to, be broken and bam, we go on massively because, we're waiting for news. But equally, you've got to be aware of those extremes when the news comes. So it's a good week for trader awareness and getting those skills in place.
That's true.
That's about it.
We have Scalpathon starts. The opening session starts at 6:15 in about a half an hour-ish. So Scalpathoners, join us.
Cool.
Yes, indeed. We will see you all there.
I think
great
that's
stuff.
it. That's it.
Stay frosty, everyone. Don't try and make your week in the day.
Yeah, particularly on a day like this. I just real quick comment on so far. There was a really good long scalp a little while ago down at the lows. We pushed down in typical spot, low 90s in NQ. We bounced off of it, but the price action this morning is really tentative. This is typical on Mondays. It's poking its way around, and
there's nothing to lead it with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I've been saying this over and over again every Monday for weeks, but I still am of the opinion, the absolute most important thing out there right now is the ranges. When we get to a range edge, pay attention. If we have news, we will probably test them, overshoot them a little bit, and then come back into the range. That's going to be just the way it is until if something breaks the range, and then the party could start. So, be nimble. This is a conversation we've had a number of times in Dino sessions and other sessions. One of the hardest things for new traders to do is correctly perceive a change in market conditions, particularly intraday. After the close, you have time to think about it, but if it's happening real time. And this is one of those days where you're probably going to see a lot of changes in conditions. So just be prepared for it, expect it. That'll help. All right, that's it.
Cool. Good. So have a good trading day, everyone. And those in Scalpathon, you know your schedule.
See you all soon.
Cool. All right.